Hello, little witchlings and princelings, and welcome back to your weekly coven summoning. My name is Ilsa,
And my name is Stacy,
and we're Caffeine and Conjuring.
a fantasy bookish podcast where we will discuss some of our favorite fantasy reads.
And of course, one of my favorite fantasy reads and what we're currently covering is the Throne of Glass series, and we're on Kingdom of Ash, and we're just over halfway through, and it's crazy.
It really is.
We're right in the thick of it. There's war everywhere.
It's literally like panic, catastrophe.
I'm in
Aelin
danger.
doing her thing without letting anybody know. It's just a lot.
Yeah, no one likes to tell anyone anything.
No.
Everyone likes to run into battle, and things are looking a little grim right now. It doesn't seem like they're going to have much luck getting out of the current predicament.
Mm-hmm. Things are kind of bleak.
Yes. So we ended off our last episode. They're on the battlefield. The dam is about to break and flood the battlefield. And who's going to save the day? Little Miss Alide. She is not going to let a crippled foot stop her from saving her man.
Mm-hmm.
And who can blame her? It's Lurkin.
It's Lurkin.
We have a 7-foot Fey male who would do anything for you, laying out on the battlefield somewhere. She is gone. She grabs Farasha, Kale's horse, and they're galloping through the field looking for Lorcan.
Mm-hmm.
So chapter 60 is, of course, pure panic. Everyone on the battlements knows Rowan's magic can only buy time, not stop what's coming. And even Rowan is thinking through the impossible options, like flying into the dam himself before realizing the force of that water is just too much. Fenris finally explains why he couldn't jump to find Lorcan. His teleportation magic was the one thing he shared with Coddle, and after his death, he can't bear to use it, and is not even sure he still can. So there's guilt on top of panic, on top of what the fuck are we going to do?
Yeah.
And this is where Hazar points out that Alide's already on it. She's gone. Gone with the wind.
Wild horses.
So everyone is on the wall, basically forced to watch, because if anyone else goes after Alide, they're most likely going to die. Kale realizes Farasha really is Hela's horse, because that mare is absolutely flying over the battlefield like she was born for this moment, carrying Alide straight into the disaster. So Alide's whole section is just brutal and desperate in the best way. She refuses to believe Lorcan is dead and follows the path of bodies he's left behind, figuring out where he must have fought by the trail of dead Valg. When she finally finds him, he's buried under corpses and in horrifying shape, with a gut wound and his back torn open badly, enough that bone is showing. Ugh.
Yeah. This was so gory and gruesome, the way that these chapters were wrote.
Very well done chapters, but you
Mm-hmm.
really you get cold shivers just when you're reading about the description.
Yeah.
Ugh. So seeing this doesn't stop Alide. She drags him up, orders him to move, shouts at him, reminds him of their promise, "I will always find you."
Oh.
My heart. And basically bullies this immortal Fey male back onto the horse through sheer rage, fear, and love.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to picture this super tiny girl, leg injury, ankle injury, whatever it is, trying to pull this giant Fey warrior up onto a giant stallion.
Yep.
It's it's almost comical, like picturing it.
Like, it's crazy to think about because that shouldn't be possible.
No, the math ain't mathin' on the
No.
weights and the
No.
physics of that.
I'll try not to pick it apart too much.
So, of course, it's one of those scenes where Elite is physically outmatched in every way possible, but emotionally, she's an unstoppable force.
Hmm.
And I guess the adrenaline is giving her the mom lifting a car to save her child kind of vibes.
Yes. Yes, that's true.
The whole time, the dam is holding by a thread, which makes every second feel borrowed.
Hmm.
Once Lurkin is finally in the saddle, Elide hauls herself up behind him, despite her own ankles screaming in pain, takes the reins, and tells Farasha to run for the keep faster than the wind. So the chapter ends with them racing back across the plain, the keep still far away, Elide praying the gate will stay open long enough for them to make it. And it's basically a full chapter of us going, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. But it's also one of the biggest Alid and Lorcan moments so far.
So far.
What did he do?
What did he do?
What did he fucking do? I need to know.
Chapter 61, we get Lorcan's POV, as patchy as it may be, and in agony. He's barely hanging on. Every stride that Farasha takes is absolute agony, and he knows the dam is about to blow. The keep is still too far away, and the odds are terrible. But even in all that pain, the thing that hits him hardest is that a lead came for him. She found him on that massive battlefield when death had basically already tucked him in. So, in true Lorcan fashion, he decides the logical thing to do is to sacrifice himself. He tells her she has to let him go because his weight is slowing her down, and if she drops him, maybe she can still make it. She is absolutely not going to entertain that. There's no way, not for a second.
Nope.
And this is the chapter where Lorcan finally says it outright. He tells her that he loves her, and he's loved her since the moment that she picked up the axe to kill the Ilkin, and that he'll always be with her. It's such a fey male speech. It really is. Um, Obviously devastating and romantic and very I am dying tragically on horseback coded, but a lead's response is basically just no, shut up. Fuck off. We are not doing this. She locks her hand, she grabs hold and just digs her nails into his arm and makes it very clear that they are either surviving this together or they're dying together. There's no version of she's not going to leave him. There's no version of this where she leaves. Um, and I mean, rightfully so, because he wouldn't leave her behind.
No.
So he cannot expect her to leave him behind.
I will always find you.
And then Alid does what Alid always does best. She turns sheer terror into command. She screams at Farasha to fly, not run. Fly. Fly, you fools.
Red Bull gives you wings.
And somehow the horse answers. Farasha becomes an absolute legend in this chapter.
Yep.
Tearing across the battlefield faster than everything around them, outrunning soldiers and death itself. For a second, it feels like maybe they can actually make it. And then the dam breaks. Whoosh.
Because of course it does.
Ah. Back on the battlements, everyone is watching in horror because there is no possible way Alid, Lorcan, and the rest of the soldiers on the plane are going to outrun that wall of water. Rowan is already half in mourning, Irene is praying, and the whole scene has that awful frozen feeling of watching disaster happen in real time. Then Rowan realizes that Aelin isn't beside him anymore. Because, of course, she's already out on the plane. She's wasting no time telling people what she's doing. She's just like, she sees what needs to be done and she just does it.
Yeah.
Which I love. I know I always pick on Aelin having her own little plan and not giving anybody any indication of what she's doing. But I mean, it still is so badass. So Borte and her ruck already dropped Aelin on the path, in the path of the flood. And this is where the chapter becomes absolutely insane. Rowan realizes the truth. For the entire time that Maeve had her in arms, Aelin has been descending deeper and deeper into her power. Not using it, not wasting it, but just gathering it. For 3 whole months. What Maeve thought would be a killing blow, save for herself, becomes the force that Aelin unleashes here instead. And when that wave crashes toward her, Aelin answers it with fire. And of course, it's not the just ordinary fire. This is like world-shaking, god-tier, cobalt-souled fire. And it just slams into the flood and turns the entire plane into steam and light and terror.
You can
Rowan
get a
is
free
using...
facial during battle.
What's that?
You can get a free facial during battle.
Yeah. Spa day. Rowan is using every scrap of his own power just to keep the steam from scalding everyone alive, while the rest of them can only watch Aelin literally hold back catastrophe again and again and again. What's so powerful about this chapter is that the thing Aelin had been building for Maeve, for revenge, for that final blow, gets spent to save people instead. To save Elide and Lorcan, to save the Kagan's army, to save Hope. And when it's over, the dam is reduced to just a harmless river. The tidal wave is gone, and Aelin is left glowing like she's become fire itself, before she finally burns back down into herself. And then Rowan goes to her immediately, because of course he does, and Aelin just collapses. She saved everyone, spent everything, and then the chapter ends with her just being carried away into darkness. Poof. That's gonna take one hell of a time to recover from.
Yep. And that's one thing they do not have right now.
Time.
So on to chapter 62. We're back with Minorian. So it's after the chaos of battle and everything slows down, but emotionally it hits just as hard. The Krakens and the 13 don't split up after Manon claims the crown. Instead, they traveled through the night to a new hidden camp, putting as much distance as they can between themselves and the matrons. Everyone is exhausted and on edge, knowing retaliation could come at any moment, and there's still no clear plan for what happens next or whether this alliance will hold. Dorian is completely drained, trying to rest, but his mind is already on what comes next, especially Morath. And then Manon shows up in his tent.
Sorry.
We are just 13-year-old boys.
Yes.
Their conversation starts off surprisingly vulnerable, with Manon asking him what it felt like to kill his father and whether she should have killed her own grandmother. Dorian reassures her that sparing her might actually weaken the Iron Teeth more than killing her would have, and for once, Manon doesn't push back. She listens. She even apologizes to him for how she reacted earlier when she found out about his plans, which is huge for her.
Mm-hmm.
Because up until the series, essentially, she's known to be this cold-hearted, white-haired bitch. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
eat the children in the village.
Yep.
So she figures it out. Dorian is leaving. And he confirms it, that he's going to Morath alone. Because what could go wrong? So instead of fighting him on it, she asks what it would take for him to stay. And what she offers is huge. An alliance between Ardalan and the witches, sealed through marriage.
She proposed.
She proposed! Oh my god! Like, just alliance, my fucking ass. We know that would be
Yeah.
a... It would be consummated.
Oh, yes. I don't know who would be luckier in that situation.
nope. The bi panic is real. She's willing to give up her freedom to bind herself to him, if it means strengthening their forces for war. Dorian understands exactly what she's offering and what it would cost her, and even though there's real feeling between them, he can't accept it. He knows it's not truly what she wants, and he won't let her sacrifice herself like that, even for a good cause. What a man.
Mm-hmm.
What follows is a very intimate moment between them, one last connection before everything changes. It's not about politics or alliances anymore, just the two of them choosing each other in the only way they can right now. And I've never wanted it to be a fly on the wall more.
Right. Oh my
Oof.
God.
And then, in true Dorian fashion, he leaves before dawn. No goodbye, no big speech. He takes the word keys and heads to Morath on his own. Manon wakes up to an empty bed and immediately knows that he is gone.
Chapter 63 brings us back to Adian. I
Yay!
I feel like I'm feeling about Adian how you felt about Kale.
Feel
He's just pissing me off.
how I feel about Kale.
Sorry, yes, feel. So, with Adian's point of view, things are looking bleak. His forces are retreating towards the Florine, but there's no real escape. The bone drums of Morath are getting louder, the enemy is closing in, and Adian knows this is likely their final stand. So instead of running, he orders the army into formation. Before the battle begins, he pulls Ren aside and gives him one last command: send out a call for aid to anyone, everywhere. Even though Adian no longer sees himself as anything important, he reminds Ren that he is still a lord and that Terrasen is calling for help. There's no guarantee anyone will answer, especially after no one came 10 years ago, but Adian wants the call sent anyway. It's a last desperate thread of hope. Then he takes his place on the front lines. The mood is grim. No rallying cries this time, just silence, snow, and the steady pounding of drums. And when Morath finally emerges through the storm, it's overwhelming. Endless. Adian fully believes they're about to die here. Things get even worse when Morath launches their first attack. And it's not just arrows, but severed heads. But not just any heads. The soldiers bearing the insignia of Ansel Briarcliff. The reinforcements they were waiting for have already been intercepted and slaughtered. That realization hits hard across the army, especially for Ansel herself, whose grief cuts through the battlefield. Oh my God, can you imagine?
No, my God.
Still, Adian holds the line. He rallies his soldiers, and the only truth left: they'll fight together and they'll die together. But just as Morath charges for the final clash, everything changes. Fire suddenly erupts from the river. At first, Adian thinks it's Aelin, but it's not. Out of the snow and mist comes a fleet of ships, filling the Florine, led by Rolf and the Mycenaeans.
You said his
They've
name wrong.
arrived. What?
You said his name
Rolf?
wrong.
Rolf?
Daddy Rolf.
Oh, I am so sorry. That is such a grievous error. Let me fix. Led by Daddy Rolf and the Mycenaeans. Oh, will you forgive me? Oh, you got me. I was like, what? How else do you say that?
Oh God, I'm crying.
So they have arrived with fire lances, basically handheld weapons that unleash devastating bursts of flame. And against the Valg, who hate fire and light, it is absolute chaos. Morath doesn't just falter, they panic. They start retreating, believing Aelin has somehow armed this new force with her magic. Sick. Can you imagine? Oh my God. Adian wastes no time. He orders a full retreat to the ships, and the army scrambles for safety, boarding vessels, piling onto longboats, shifting into animal forms to escape. It's just messy, frantic, but it works. Daddy Rolf's forces hold the line just long enough for everyone to get out. I need to change like all of my notes now to forever just put Daddy in front of Rolf. Uh, Adian is one of the last to board, making sure no one is left behind, and once he finally is on deck, the relief hits hard. They survived, but just barely. We also get a really emotional moment with Lysandra, who shifts back into human form and immediately embraces Rolf, just pure gratitude and exhaustion. And meanwhile, Ansel claps on deck, grieving the loss of her soldiers, surrounded by the aftermath of what Morath did. If we didn't need another reason to hate Morath, right? Ugh. Daddy Rolf explains that he didn't just randomly show up. He was sent by Ravi and Soul of Surya.
You gotta stop.
You created this monster.
Regret.
Okay. Okay, I'll stop. Yeah, so he was sent by Ravi and Soul of Surya, who guessed Adian might be in trouble. They've stayed behind with what's left of the fleet to guard the coast, even though it puts them at serious risk. The plan now is to head for Orinth, regroup behind its walls, and prepare for what's coming next. But the chapter ends on a heavy note. Adian asks how many fire lances they have left, and Rolf's answer says it all. Not enough. Not enough to win a siege. Not enough to stop what's coming, especially once the witch towers arrive. So even though this chapter feels like a rescue, like a last-minute save, it's really just buying them time. I feel like that's all this is now, is just buying time.
And right into 64, the chapter shifts us into the aftermath of everything that's just happened. And emotionally, it's a mix of relief, exhaustion, and some quiet, heady moments that come after surviving something you shouldn't have. We start with Irene, who's still shaken hours later. She's processing everything at once: the near destruction from the dam, the sheer number of wounded and dying she's treated, the overwhelming power she witnessed from Aelin and Rowan. Even so, she doesn't stop. She throws herself right back into healing, moving from patient to patient in the Great Hall and out on the battlefield, helping whoever she can. It's clear she is completely drained, but she keeps going anyways. We also get updates on everybody else. Aelin is unconscious, but physically unharmed, just completely exhausted after unleashing her massive power. Rowan is in worse shape, pushing himself to the brink of burnout, but still refusing rest until he absolutely has to. And Lorcan. His injuries were so severe that Irene needed Haviza's help to heal him. He was on the edge of death, and even after being healed, he hasn't woken up. Then, just when things feel like they might finally settle, a horn sounds. And it's good news for once. Prince Cassian has arrived with the rest of the Kagan's army. Reinforcements made it, and Irene realizes just how close they came to losing everything. If that dam had broken even a little sooner, Cassian's forces would have been wiped out too. It's a rare moment of relief, but it comes with the understanding that their luck might not last forever. Then we shift to Lorcan waking up. Fenris is there when he comes to, keeping watch over him, and we get the classic dry humor from Fenris right away. But underneath it, you can tell he chose to stay. Lorcan quickly realizes how bad his injuries must have been, seeing the scars where the wounds used to be, and the first thing he asks about is, of course, Elide.
Oh.
And She's safe. She's been helping in the Great Hall. That alone settles something inside him. When Lorcan he wakes again later on, Elite is there, literally at his bedside, having fallen asleep, reaching for. It's such a quiet, intimate moment compared to the chaos they just survived. And when she wakes up and realizes he's conscious, everything between them finally comes to the surface. They talk, and it's simple but powerful. Lorcan thanks her in the only way he really can, by acknowledging that he would have died without her. And Elide reminds him that she made a promise to always find him, and she kept it. Then they address what was said on the battlefield. Lorcan confirms that he meant every word, that he loves her, that he always will. And Elide finally says it back. She's loved him since the moment he fought for her, and when she thought she might lose him, telling him that became the only thing that mattered. It's not dramatic or over the top. It's steady, honest, and long overdue.
Mm-hmm.
From there, the tension between them softens into something warmer. They don't rush anything, but there's a clear shift. They're no longer dancing around what they feel. Elide stays with him, sitting at his side, touching his hair, and just being there. Lorcan, for once, isn't guarded. He lets her in completely. There's also a really important note of restraint here. Even though the attraction and emotion are clearly there, Lorcan doesn't push things further. He makes it clear that he'll wait for her to be ready, for things to happen on her terms. And it shows just how much he's changed and how much he respects her. Green flag.
Mm-hmm.
He may have 100 red ones, but he has green ones too.
That's all that matters. There's a green flag.
By the end of the chapter, Elide leaves to help Irene again, but there's a promise hanging between them now. Something solid, something real. And for Lorcan, who spent centuries as this hardened, isolated warrior, we get something rare, a genuine, quiet happiness. It's a soft landing after absolute chaos, and one of the most emotionally satisfying moments in the story so far.
I'm so happy that they finally had that moment of just like
It's long
recognizing.
overdue.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And chapter 65, we get a bit of a turning point. The story takes a deep breath and then chooses its side. We open with Manon realizing that Dorian has already left. He didn't stay. After everything she offered him, herself, an alliance, a future, he still chose to go to Morath alone. And you can feel that quiet heartbreak in her. It's not dramatic or explosive. It's just a heavy realization that what they shared was a goodbye. He understood her too well to accept a life that would cage her, even if she was willing to try. Estrin asked the question we're all thinking. Do they go after him? But before Manon can even fully sit with that decision, everything shifts. A scout arrives with devastating news. Terrasen has fallen back again and again, and Morath is marching on Orinth. The city could be destroyed within a week. Wow. And suddenly, this isn't just about Dorian anymore. Now Manon is standing at a crossroads. One path leads to Morath, to Dorian. The other leads north to Terrasen, to war, to everything Aelin is fighting for. And this is the moment where she truly steps into who she is becoming. When asked what she will do, she doesn't hesitate. She answers the call. One by one, the 13 stand with her, then the Krakens, then the leaders of every hearth. It's not forced, not demanded, it's chosen. And that's what makes it so powerful. For the first time, the witches aren't divided or ruled by fear. They're united. And Manon lights the flame of war. This is where the chapter turns almost mythic. The fire is passed from hearth to hearth, carried across mountains, forests, and hidden villages. Witches reveal themselves, women who have been living quiet, hidden lives, suddenly stepping forward, pulling out long hidden cloaks, brooms, and blades. It's this incredible image of a people awakening. It's a rising tide. Across the land, the same call echoes. Your queen summons you to war. Oh, I got goosebumps. And they all answer. By the end of the chapter, the Krakens are no longer scattered survivors. They are an army, a living, flying force gathering in the skies, heading north toward Terrasen. So while Dorian chooses his path into darkness, Manon chooses hers into war and into leadership. And it honestly feels like watching a legend being born in real time. This is such a powerful chapter for Manon.
Yeah.
And like the visual of all of these witches just living peacefully with their families, just leaving, just grabbing their broom, grabbing their red cloak, and they're gone.
Yeah.
Like, what an amazing visual.
Chapter 66, we're back with Aelin, and she finally wakes after 3 days of magical burnout, wrapped up with Rowan Whitethorn. And for the first time since everything with Maeve, there's a sense of stillness. No nightmares, no immediate chaos, just the fragile clarity after the storm. And it's such a small but meaningful moment. She feels safe because he's there.
Mm. I mean, I would too.
Yeah. Not Terrasen, not victory, but something that feels like home. As they wake and talk, we get a huge reveal. Aelin has been scheming even while imprisoned. She secretly sent letters to Rowan's family and allies in Doranil, planting the idea that Maeve is dangerous, possibly even Valg, and trying to spark the rebellion against her. It's classic Aelin. Planting seeds that might bloom later on, even if it's a long shot. Rowan's reaction is basically, that's insane, but also kind of brilliant, and I love you.
Mm.
Which honestly sums her up perfectly. But underneath that banter, there's something heavier. Aelin admits that using that massive surge of power wasn't what she planned. It was meant for Maeve. And now it's gone. She doesn't even know if she could ever reach that level again. More importantly, she doesn't have the time to slowly heal from what she went through. She just wants the war and everything tied to it to be over. You really feel how tired she is beneath all of the fire and bravado. Still, they don't get to linger long. When they rejoin the others, the real world stakes slam back in. Prince Cassian has arrived with the rest of the Kagan's army, and after everything they witnessed, they've decided to march north with Aelin. That's the turning point. They've officially secured the alliance they needed. But it's not exactly smooth sailing, because nothing in Sarah J. Maas's books are. They start planning their route back to Terrasen, realizing they'll have to pass the Ferrying Gap, a guaranteed battleground. And when Kale reveals the only safe way through involves bargaining with the wild men of the mountains, his father immediately refuses to give up any land. And if you guys don't remember, the wild men is where Cain is from, back in the first Throne of
Yes.
Glass book. The giant, beefy, angry man
And
turned
we all
Valg.
know that I was going to say how much of a shit he was.
Yep.
And of course his father doesn't want to give up land. He's such a fucking hoarder.
Yep. She steps in, essentially overruling him by reminding Kale of his authority and pushing the alliance forward anyways. It's a very the queen has entered the chat moment.
Hmm.
And then we shift to something honestly just as important as any battlefield victory, Irene's work. Aelin goes to see what she's been doing, and it's not flashy. It's terrifying, gruesome, and intimate. Irene Westfall is literally going mind to mind with Valg demons, forcing them out of human hosts. It's brutal, exhausting, and deeply personal magic, and when it works, it's incredible. The possessed man wakes up fully human again, thanking her. It reframes everything. Not every enemy is truly an enemy. Some of them can be saved. But it also raises uncomfortable questions. The saved are interrogated, judged, and only some are allowed to fight alongside them. War doesn't magically become clean just because they're on the right side.
Hmm. Chapter 67, we are getting the final march north, beginning, at least what I think is the final march north. It opens with Aelin and Rowan taking a quiet walk by the Silver Lake after the chaos in Aniel. And the big question hanging over them is Irene. Aelin can't stop thinking about whether Irene's power could possibly be used against Erewhon or Maeve the way she's been healing Valak soldiers. And that's what makes this moment so heavy. Aelin is torn between the practical, brutal logic of war and the fact that Irene is pregnant, vulnerable, and someone she loves. Rowan basically becomes her moral anchor here because when she pushes the idea to its furthest end, he reminds her that some costs are too high, even if the world is at stake. Um, this is a part where she when they talk about it, um, she knows that what she's asking of Irene and Kale is massive. Like, this is a huge ask for Irene to like attempt this with Erewhon and Maeve. Um, and Rowan is just like, I absolutely would not let you do that if it was her in Irene's shoes. So,
Yeah.
uh, but yeah, this leads Aelin into one last desperate attempt to find another way around the lock. She drags Rowan, Fenris, and Porte into going through Kale and Irene's wordmark books, hoping maybe there's some hidden spell or alternate answer buried in all that old knowledge. But there isn't. They find interesting things, including portal type spells, but nothing that changes the truth they're all trying not to say out loud. There is no miracle solution waiting in the margins. Meanwhile, Kale gets one more truly awful scene with his father. His father tries to manipulate him by revealing that Kale's mother had been writing to him for years and that he kept every letter hidden. It's such a cruel move
Yeah.
because he's weaponizing love and loss to try to control Kale yet again. But this time, Kale doesn't break. He refuses to bargain, refuses to bend, and walks away from that whole poisonous dynamic with more strength than ever. Honestly, it's one of the most satisfying little victories of the chapter. And then we get the practical fallout of that choice. Kale does make the deal with the Wildmen, giving them a piece of southern Aniel in exchange for safe passage through the mountains. His father hates it, of course, but nobody cares, which is frankly delicious.
Yep.
By the end of the chapter, the real momentum kicks in. 2 days later, the wild men arrive to guide them, and the armies finally begin their push north towards Terrason. The plan is split. Part of the Kagan's host will draw Morath's forces out at the Ferrian Gap, while Aelin and the others move through the mountains to strike from behind. It feels like the board is finally set for the next huge confrontation. And the chapter ends on a very Aelin note, riding out at the head of the army with home finally ahead of her. She lets a flicker of her fire rise again. Not the massive, devastating power from Aniel, but enough to shine. A beacon for everyone marching behind her. It's such a strong closing image because after everything, after captivity, the trauma, and impossible choices, Aelin is still the one lighting the road north.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's where part 1 ends.
Part 2, baby.
Ooh.
You know what? It ends right there. The end of
Yeah.
part 1 is where the series ends.
Yay, what a good series. Everybody is fine.
They're all together. They're all happy for the moment. They're all alive. Nothing bad has happened.
What chapters did you say you wanted to record?
88, 89.
Okay. I just want to make
Maybe
sure that it
87,
wasn't
88, 89, because I don't want you to figure out what's happening before it happens.
okay.
Oh, I'm gonna cry.
Oh, fuck.
I'm gonna cry for so much of this book that's left. I'm not ready.
Oh.
Oh, this fandom is a prison. So, chapter 68, part 2. Sorry. So, Kingdom of Ash, part 2, chapter 68. This chapter is basically a full on stealth mission turned oh shit reveal. We open with Dorian arriving at Morath, and the vibe is immediately nightmare fuel. The Black Towers are still scarred from Keltane Rompier's sacrifice, but the place is still crawling with soldiers, witches, and wyverns. It's not weakened, it's waiting. And Dorian, being the absolute fucking menace that he is, doesn't just scout it, he infiltrates it. He's shape-shifting his way in, first as a crow to blend in with the flock circling the fortress, and then, I swear it gets kind of wild, as a mouse to sneak inside. And the detail here is so cool, because we get how heightened his senses are in that form. Everything is sharper, more dangerous. It really drives home that he is deep in enemy territory, and one wrong move means instant death.
Mm-hmm.
Also important, before entering, Dorian hides the word keys far away from Morath, and by hide, he means buried in a tiny little hole out in the wild. Because what could possibly go
Hiding.
wrong?
Yeah.
He refuses to risk bringing them anywhere near Erewhon, which shows he's not just acting on emotion, he's thinking strategically, even if the whole mission is insanely risky. And the hiding spot is kind of questionable.
Just gonna keep saying that. Just remember the hiding spot is questionable.
Inside Morath, he follows a mental map from Manon Blackbeak and starts navigating through the servant passages, staying hidden, gathering information. He hears whispers in the kitchen about something happening in the council room, which immediately sets off alarm bells. And instead of backing out like a sane person, he goes towards it. Because that's the core of this chapter. Dorian isn't just scouting. He wants to face Erewhon. He wants to look him in the eye. He wants revenge for what he's done to him, for Sorsha, for everything. There's this moment where he's fully ready to strike, planning to drop the disguise, grab Damaris, and try to kill him. And then the entire scene flips. He sneaks into the council chamber, sees Erewhon, and realizes something is wrong immediately. Not because of Erewhon, but because Erewhon is acting like he's expecting someone. Wonder who it is.
Ugh.
And then we get the reveal. The cloaked figure steps forward, and it's the one, the only, the bitch, Maeve.
Mm-hmm.
Alive, calm, sitting down to have a conversation with Erewhon like they're equals. And Dorian, along with us, is hit with the realization that these two are not just enemies circling each other. They're connected. And whatever is about to be discussed in that room, it's going to change everything. Dun, dun, dun.
Yes, I get chapter 69.
Nice.
Nice. Okay. So chapter 69. Adian
Nice.
and the others finally reach Orth. Nice. And it's nothing like it should be. The city is silent, drained, almost hollow. Where it once felt alive, even in darker times, now it feels like it's just waiting. Waiting for the inevitable siege, waiting to fall. The white walls are stained and worn. The castle that used to shine is now described like a tomb, and the people inside know they're trapped. There's nowhere left to run, mountains behind them, enemies ahead. It's the final stand, whether anyone wants to admit it or not. Adian walks through it all carrying so much weight. He's looking at his people and thinking about how many have already died because of the choices he made. There's no bravado here, no rallying speech. It's just guilt sitting heavy in his chest. And it's hitting even harder because everyone else feels it too. Even Ansel of Briarcliff, who's usually fire and fury, is quiet and grieving after seeing her soldiers slaughtered. They meet with the Terrasen lords, including Darrow, and the tension is immediate. The room itself reflects everything, stripped down, half ruined, nothing like the proud court it once was, and the conversation is just as bleak. They talk strategy, but underneath it is the shared understanding. They are preparing for a siege that they probably won't survive. There's a sharp moment where Lysandra calls Darrow out, basically reminding him that every ally that have come because of Aelin, not because of him or the council. It's messy, tense, and long overdue, and for once, Darrow doesn't really have a strong comeback, just exhaustion. After the meeting, Aedion follows Lysandra to the throne room, and this is where the emotional gut punch lands. The throne room is empty. The antler throne, Aelin's throne, is gone. It's been burned, destroyed. Everything that symbolized Terrasen's legacy has been stripped away. And Lysandra is just standing there, staring at the space where it should be, quietly admitting something that hurts more than anything else in this chapter. She thought that they would win. She thought they would live long enough to see Aelin come home and sit on that throne. And Aedion admits he thought so too. That's really the heart of this chapter. It's not about action, it's about that moment where hope flickers and almost goes out. They're not feeling so hot right now.
No.
And that's where we left our chapters for this episode.
And that's where we're probably going to end the episode. Because if you didn't know, we are slightly addicted to WoW, and it's patch day. And if you are also a WoW player and want to join a fun guild, you can find us in the Goth Girls Guild. And come play with us on WoW.
Yes, please.
No, but actually, if you do play WoW and you don't have a guild, come play with us.
Yeah.
We're nice.
Even if you have a guild, quit.
Yeah, G-quit.
Join us.
Come do some mythic keys with us. And also, going back to the actual episode, I can't say, I have nothing to say.
No.
That's not going to be spoilers. And I don't want my face to give away anything. So best to leave that as is.
Yes.
So we are officially closing our coven summoning for today.
Mm-hmm.
Don't forget to hit the subscribe button on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and now we're also on YouTube as well. You can see our lovely faces along with hearing all the chaos.
And see how much we talk with our hands.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you can give us a follow at Caffeine and Conjuring on Instagram, where you can stay up to date with everything that we're working on.
Mm-hmm.
So until next time, bye.
Toodles.
We're heroes, right?